and girls, welcome back to Growing Tree Podcast. I'm here with my lover girl. That needs no introduction. I asked Ini before this stuff like, well, how do you want me to introduce you? And he was like, listen, don't introduce me. So you guys, Ini, you guys. Yeah. Say hi, Ini, to the guys,
Hi, guys.
Yeah. It's actually my pleasure, honestly, to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like you're so unique. Like what you do is so unique. I was saying earlier, like so niche. I feel like also like your expression of like how you love Christ and how you love people is actually exemplary. So to be honest, and it's like I'm just engaging with some of your things on social media.
So good.
Yeah, I'm just engaging with someone. You can feel like your energy on every post and your intentionality on everything. And so I think it was yesterday or something. I sent like a screenshot of like 3 of the things you posted to my mom.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to say that people should do that. I completely forgot.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I sent it to her because it just resonated. It was just very practical. It was real, and it was something that I feel like a lot of us, if you guys, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like it's something that a lot of us could really, like a lot of people could really relate to. Mm-hmm. It was very practical. I've had some of those conversations with my mom, but the way like God just navigated that conversations that you had, and then how He brought it to like, it was just so beautiful. I'm just like, so screenshots. When my mom said, she was like, you sent me something, I said, read it, we'll discuss it after. So I feel like there's so much value, and I think my audience will benefit from it because this is like an avenue where like different perspectives, right, come together, right? And a lot of people don't see things through a certain scope, right? And I think that it can be insightful and beneficial to get understanding on some of these things. So today's topic is centered around mental health, right?
Okay.
The great mental health. Everybody, I feel like all the Gen Zs are like, my mental health. if they're dad, I know someone that is my best friends. I might drag them, drag me back. And they're like, if their parents told them to do something, they're like, it's affecting my mental health. It's affecting my mental health. It's just like, well, I wish we knew this terminology when we were young,
They wouldn't have flown.
Hey! I would have tried it, Sha. My mom is affecting my mental health. I can't get your remote control.
Oh, wow.
My mental health.
Wow. I would have loved to see that play out.
What would you define mental health as? Like if you were to describe or define it. Because if people are using it as like, oh, this person is sending me here, my mental health. This person like, my mental health. People are throwing the word a lot, right? Recent, especially on social media.
Oh, definitely.
And sometimes you get confused. Like, how do you even know? Like, what is mental health? And how do you even know what to even do with it? Yeah. So,
well, mental health is basically the state of your mental well-being, state of your mind. Like, how are you doing? How are you? What, what's affecting it? What's keeping you happy? What's affecting your mind? What's keeping your mind happy?
Yeah.
What's the state of your mind?
What's the state of your mind?
That's the mental health. Like, how healthy is your mind? Basically, if I were to define it, just in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's actually apt. That's spot on. How are you? How are you?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. How are you?
Yeah.
How's your mental health?
How healthy is your mind?
Interesting.
How's your mind doing?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if not if, but for lack of a better word, if this is mental health, if this is what is defined as, people like get affected a lot by when their well-being is not in the place that it should be, when it's affected. People then say that they're falling into depression, right? Or maybe some people say fall into depression, or maybe it can be a depressive state, right? My question is this, because I've had an occasion where I was just talking to a couple of people, and this is mental health in the light of scriptures, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like mental health in just science, right? And someone was telling me that they were suffering from depression.
Okay.
And their their parents, called a pastor, and it was basically deliverance service that they had, and not just on one or two, no, on 3 occasions they had to cast the spirit of depression away. And basically what the person was saying was that he had to come out of depression himself. So when we're talking about like a resilient, I think what we're talking about was being resilient or something, and he was like, I came out of depression myself. If I can come out of depression by myself, then pretty much I can come out of anything. And I was like, interesting. I didn't say it to him, but I was like, can you come out of depression yourself? Like what would, I mean, it wasn't like he didn't have any aid. He just said that he just kind of just came out of it. Now, for me, if I deduce like I don't know, I can't say. I don't want to make a judgment, but I don't know. I'll rather ask you, to be honest, like, can that happen? Can one come out of depression themselves? And if someone is suffering from depression and they're from a faith-based house where we know we're spiritual, not just faith, we're spiritual beings, spirits everywhere, kakiri, every. Oh boy. Spirit be roaming. You be casting spirit everywhere, cast and bind. How are you supposed to respond to somebody or to your son or to your daughter or someone that is your loved one that is clear that they're in a depressive state? How are you there for them? How do you address that from a place of faith and from a place of like how? Because I think one of the reasons that people resort to casting of spirits because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And they've heard in church for a long time that is a spirit. And that spirit must go to the abyss. So the only thing they know how to do is like, call the pastor. Let him restore my child back to the way my child was. Because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that out to you.
Well, a number of things there.
Yes. It's a power-packed question.
Okay, I'll start from what depression is.
What depression
and
is.
How you can get to a depressive state. It's I'll say it's from a therapist's point of view.
Yes.
I'll say it from
Please.
a believer's point of view.
Yes. And by the way, she's a therapist.
Yes, I am.
Drop profile.
I love it. Okay, so for a person to be in a depressive state, it means that a number of things would have happened, and it's an accumulation of scenarios, instances, mindsets that have gotten a person to a depressive state.
Okay.
And so for a person to be depressed, it means that the person is in a state of depression. Yeah. Now, is depression spiritual? Yes, it is.
Okay.
Very much so.
Okay.
Can it be solved by casting and binding? Well,
yes and no?
yes and no.
Okay.
But the thing is, here's the thing.
Okay.
You can come out of depression yourself.
Really?
But the question is, can you do so permanently? So the thing about any state, any unhealthy mental health state, is that it's recurring until you can find the root problem.
I see.
So it's not, casting and binding is a temporary fix in the moment. Okay, it's just like it's like a sickness, like malaria, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
It can be spiritual, but it's very much mental. Okay? So as it's very much mental, you must understand that whatever caused it will cause it again. So depression is is what you can see.
Yeah.
But the thing that caused it is what you must treat.
I see.
That is what you must focus on repairing or taking care of.
Valid.
And so your friend might have come out of depression by himself because he was forced. He was in survival mode.
Yes.
Yeah, like, you know what? If I don't do this, people are gonna run me mad. But But then he could very well fall into that again, because what got him there in the first place, he didn't take care of it. It's just like people who deal with an addiction to watching porn or masturbation or whatever it is. When I speak with people, I say that's not your issue. Masturbation is not your issue. Watching pornography is not, having an addiction even to drugs or whatever is not your issue. You need to figure out what got you there in the first place. What makes you get there in the first place. That's the root cause. So when we sit down in therapy, we run through your whole life. We talk about everything but depression. Let's talk about everything else. Let's talk about your life. Let's talk about your eating habits, your sleeping habits. Let's talk about the kind of friends you have. Let's talk about your past. Let's talk about what's work like. What's your daily life like? What is it? Is there like a, for some people their day is like a monotonous drone. That alone could put you in a state of depression.
That's true.
Maybe you need some activity. Maybe you need some vitamin D. You need some sunlight. Maybe you need to get out of your room.
Get off your computer.
Get off social media. Sometimes it's just scrolling and see what everybody else has. And the fact that you had this idea first and you're not even using it, or you don't even have the resources to do it, that could throw you into depressive doubt. It is you may think that it's just looking at it once. No, it's a constantly looking at it. And the accumulation of thoughts, accumulation of regrets, accumulation of I should have, or I didn't have, or I don't have, the accumulation of it, everything, and then everything else, and also the overstimulation of constantly looking at your screen, everything put together. So you need to find what is the root cause. That's it. And so if you have a friend, you have a family member who you find that is in the depressive state, pray. Pray.
Step one.
You don't even have to pray with the person.
Yes. You don't.
Sometimes the person may even know that they need prayer, but they don't want to hear that in the moment. And so have a conversation. Ask questions. I hear you, or I see that you're in this state. What can I do to help you? What do you need? What was yesterday like? What has today been like? I remember you went out yesterday. What happened when you went out? Ask questions. Live life like that person. Put yourself in the person's shoes. It's not about bringing a pastor to pray. It's very important, because at the end of the day, we're not ignorant of the vices of the enemy. And the enemy uses these things to get to us. So yes, you must pray. You must raise a hedge of fire around the person and make sure that the person is fortified, because in the moment the person cannot pray for themselves, but in real time be there and ask God. Sometimes when you pray, we always what's the word now? We don't pray with wisdom. I think that's it. Wisdom and understanding. No, not even that. You just don't pray with wisdom. It's as simple as that. When you go to pray, are you going to tell God what you want to hear, or you're going to ask God what you should hear? You go to ask God, Boun is going through this. What do I do, Lord? Let God tell you how to handle it. So when I say pray, this is actually what I mean. It's not even by just going, what do you know you're casting? Which spirit do you know? What do you know?
The name is name.
Sometimes you go to God and you pray, and God tells you, God even shows you. When I sit with people, I always tell people I'm not your regular therapist. Because when you're sitting with me, you're actually sitting with God. I'm just the middleman. I'm the one you can see.
Testify.
And so when you're talking to me, I'm listening to you, but I'm asking God, okay, God, what do I say to that? What is, because that's how you do it. You don't know, you're not living inside the person's head. You don't know what happened yesterday. You don't know what happened 2 minutes ago. You don't know.
100.
But God knows this person through and through. So when I say pray, this is actually what I mean. If God says, oh, get up, there's a spirit that you need to actually cast it out, then do so. If God says, just buy her a cup of coffee. I hope that with these few words of
that
mine,
is actually practical. Let me tell you, there's a Zen mode right here on this set. It is giving me Zen vibes.
Zen vibes.
Peace and joy and love.
I love it.
That's what's emanating right now. I'm just like, tell them. Because I feel like people always want to treat depression either by what I just mentioned, casting and binding, or they go to antidepressants.
Okay. Should I?
Yes, you please should.
So I'm not medically certified or trained. Okay, so as a therapist, I do not encourage antidepressants. You know why?
Why?
Those things actually do more harm than good.
That's what I think.
They do more harm than good. These drugs you're taking, they throw you into a state that worsens what exactly is going on. You need to personally.
Yeah.
A lot of people will disagree with me on this.
Okay.
But I feel like antidepressants are actually a lazy way to treat what exactly is going on with the person. Here's the thing. People have gone through so many different things. When you're treating whatever it is that you're going through, it's going to take a while.
Yes.
And it's going to take years. There are practical ways, holistic ways to treat whatever it is that a person is going through. Drugs tamper with your hormones. They tamper with your mindsets.
Yeah.
They tamper with your sleep. They tamper with your body. They tamper with your organs.
Yeah.
And so how does that help? How does it help? And then again, of course, there's the God factor.
You can't negate that, right?
Yeah, you can't negate that. But hey, some people have testified and have said that, antidepressants have actually helped. But I also believe that it's a very temporary fix. You're going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
You're going to keep. You're going to need more prescriptions.
Yes.
You're going to. Yeah. So at what point do you actually sort yourself out? At what point do you actually free yourself?
This is interesting because I was having a conversation with my girls and we're talking about like overcoming trauma. And we're like, it's been such a rigorous process, this like healing journey, right? It's such a rigorous, like, it's intense when God is healing you inside out. Like, it's
like a roller coaster.
Oh my goodness.
Or like a bungee drop.
My gosh, like, it's a rigorous process. I think people don't understand. Once the Lord starts giving you insights and starts just shaking, it's like,
yeah, because he's ripping off layers, things that you've been hiding behind.
Yes. Things that were a sort of comfort or your habits or your norm, you associated your identity with.
That's right.
Like, it's pulling those things down and you're like, who am I? What am I?
Who
Where
am
am
I?
I?
Exactly.
Like, it's rigorous, bro. And that just plays into what you just said. Like, antidepressants being the easy option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not easy actually to come face to face with the triggers.
It's not.
With the root stuff that is painful to look at. It's hard. It's hard. And being a therapist is like you're in a healing ministry.
Yes.
You're in a healing ministry. And having God in that dynamic is even more so. Right? So when you say to me that, you're sitting down with clients, if I can say that.
Yes.
And you're asking the Holy Spirit, what should I say to Boun?
Yeah.
What should I say to this person? Like, it's engaging. This is where faith and therapy and like healing comes in play.
Even science,
because I think people in a religious setting always think look at the external. Someone is ill physically and you're healed in Jesus' name and they receive healing, or something happens, it's physical. They always focus on the physical side. But I think one of the reasons why there are repeated cycles in the body is because the emotional healing has not taken place.
There's emotion, there's a whole lot. There's a physical healing, the emotional healing, and the spiritual healing. Everything comes into play.
Spiritual healing.
Yep.
Do you want to give us like maybe a bit of what that means?
Oh boy. Okay.
Just a little.
All right. So you know how I'm gonna give a very easy example, a very simple example.
Yeah.
How a lot of people's relationships with God are affected by the things that they go through.
Yes, 100.
And so the enemy's main desire is to pull you away from God.
That's right.
And so when he does, and he finishes you off. I always tell people that, when the Bible says that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy, the worst of it is not to go to hell. No, the worst of it is to kill, to steal, and to when he takes away your identity, he steals that from you. Then he kills your dreams, your aspirations, and your relationship with God. He kills that off, and then you're just left roaming about on the earth, having no identity, having no one to go to, no fortress, no cover, no nothing. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. You see it. You see people who do not know who they are. Today they're this, tomorrow they're that. I'm not going to say more than that, but yes. Yeah, so yeah. So there's all of that.
Shake the table in a very subtle way.
So yeah, there's all of that.
Okay. So when you mean spiritual healing, this is what
because there's emotional wounds, they lead to they open doors.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we're gonna go into this. Emotional wounds, they open spiritual doors.
Yeah.
They really do. And we have no idea. Take for instance, I'll tell you a bit of my story.
Okay.
When I went through the trauma of rape, I had this notion in my head that if I slept with this person or that person, it would help me get over the feeling of being raped. And so I was sleeping with multiple people at a time. And you see, the thing about that is that it was an emotional wound, but then it opened a spiritual door to soul ties with different people. All of a sudden, you're having dreams, you're having attacks, you don't know where they're coming from. But the thing is that you've opened doors.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're dealing with intense unforgiveness. You're dealing with intense anger that wasn't there before. It wasn't you, but then you've locked ties with somebody else. Or sometimes it may not even be that the other person. It's just that the door is open, and so whatever can come in.
Anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Deep.
Yeah. Another example is a person who is, I don't know if you've heard stories of people who are raped multiple times.
Yeah.
Here's someone say, oh, it all started when I was 16. I was raped then. Then all of a sudden I was at this other party and then I was raped again.
Yes.
Then I was raped again.
Yes.
You've opened the door. There's a door that you may not have been the one, but then there's a door that's been opened that has to be shut. But then it has to be shut on the journey of healing. And so, so that's an emotional wound that will lead to a spiritual. Spiritual opening.
That makes sense. I can even relate to that. But I won't go into it on this pod. I can relate to it. Okay. Someone sent a question when I posed a question on my WhatsApp status, and someone sent a question relating to mental health, and I'll read it so I don't have to paraphrase too much. Okay. So the person says, what does someone do when you're in a loop? Like you can't seem to stop thinking about certain things, no matter how you try. You just kind of you're sunk in, you're in that loop, and it keeps on happening. But it's coming from someone that is a believer, right? And I have to put that caveat there because So what do you do in that situation? Like, what does that person do? How did they come out of the loop?
Again, find the root cause. What's the common denominator? Well, sometimes you may not know how to trace it back to your past, or sometimes you talk with people who have been through, or sometimes they don't even know they've been through things because the brain's way of defending itself is amnesia.
That's right. 100.
It forgets, it shuts down.
That's right.
Yeah. So how did I start feeling this way? When did I start feeling this way? What happened to make me start feeling this way? You need to find that out. So you when you can find the root cause, then you start from there. If you're treating just the loop, you'll forever be
in the loop.
You'll forever be there.
And also, how do you communicate the value or the essence? No, not the essence, the importance of therapy in your journey with Christ and your wholeness as a person. God has come to make us whole. The spirit of wholeness has come upon us. How do you now communicate that? Because I was saying to you earlier, people associate therapy as this thing is expensive. Yeah. And all this like negative connotations as well. Oh, you're in therapy, that your issues must be really, really deep. that
It's
somebody
intense.
really no therapy, over therapy.
Oh my god.
Is really deep. Nobody can help. Not even Jesus can help you. You need therapists. So how do we debunk this notion and start getting people to see value and have insight and see the benefits and the need to actually have this, like, and what it is?
So the thing is, I always tell people, when you're sick, you go to the hospital, right? Or go to the
Yes.
pharmacist, whichever one. Yeah, if you're mentally ill, you should see a therapist.
Oh, mentally ill trigger, innit?
Yeah, you should see a therapist. And people always think that if you're mentally ill, it means that you should be in a
Yaba
ward.
left.
Exactly. But no. If you're anxious, if you're prone to anxiety, you're mentally ill. It means it means that your mind is unhealthy. There's something wrong somewhere. You need to sort it out.
Say that again. Repeat, encore.
If you're prone to anxiety, it means you're mentally ill. Your mind is unhealthy. You need to see a therapist to sort it out. If you have issues, coping with money, it means your mind is unhealthy. There's a problem somewhere. You need to sort it out. People just assume that being mentally ill has only to do with depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts and all of that, or maybe the trauma of molestation and abuse. No, it has to do with so much.
Wow.
If you're prone to selfishness, you need to see a therapist.
Wow.
Yeah. If your ego is inflated, you definitely need to see a therapist.
This one I did not know.
Oh yes.
This one I'm learning on the.
But you see, all of these things, until you see a therapist, you wouldn't even know that some of these issues are there. You may think that you're the most amazing person in the world. Seeing a therapist is like looking in the mirror, and I think that that's what a lot of people are afraid of.
Yeah.
People. It's nice to view yourself in a certain state of mind.
Yes.
To see yourself otherwise,
Yes.
it means that you're imperfect, and that, my friends, is pride.
Hey, don't let pride get you proud.
So you see, the thing is that the reason why people don't believe that they should be in therapy is because, one, they believe that they're okay.
Yes.
Yeah. They're okay. Up until you have kids, and up until you get married, or up until you're working in a place with, difficult colleagues.
Yeah.
Or a colleague that just irks you for no reason. You have no idea why, but then you know that you need to check yourself.
Wow.
And then people also do not believe in therapy because they just assume it's expensive. And even if therapy is expensive, you do not evaluate enough to spend your money on it.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, when I say, therapy is expensive. But, if you're to buy a phone or a laptop, and you don't have the money now, you find yourself saving towards it.
100%.
If you were to go to school to go and study a course, you find yourself saving towards it.
100.
If you want to buy a ticket to a concert, you find yourself saving towards it.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a car, you would save towards it. So why not invest in your mental health, in your mind, in your well-being? Because at the end of the day, everything else that you're saving up for is dependent on how healthy your mind is.
It's true. That's how everything functions.
Yeah.
That should even be like the most important thing.
But people don't see it that way. You just believe that therapy is a luxury. It's not.
Yeah. It's
People,
fundamental.
Before I used to consider students in school and it's hard being in school, but I thought about it. Students in school buy wigs.
Hey.
They save to go to concerts.
Hey.
So why not save to go to therapy?
Can carry million naira phone.
Exactly.
Hey.
So there's so much. Therapy is so important, and therapy is ongoing. It should be ongoing for everyone. It should be, because for you to recognize that you have a problem, before you get to the point of recognition, it means that problem has amassed so many layers that will need to be sorted out.
Wow.
And it cannot, the amassing and the accumulation has happened over a number of years. It cannot be sorted in a mere number of weeks or months. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
And healing is ugly. It's vigorous. It's a painful process. It's surgery after surgery after surgery. It's not, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so for you to say, you go through just a number of sessions and you think you're okay, no. If you need to save up again, go save up a bit again and get back in the
go
ring.
back.
Yeah, it's literally you fighting for your life, because guess what?
What?
You don't want to make the same mistakes that were made to you.
Yeah.
And you want to be a better person in society.
Yeah.
Because the reason why all of us are in therapy now is because there's a vicious cycle going around.
Yes.
We're growing up, we're becoming the people who made us be in therapy in the first place.
Yeah.
And so in order for us to stop the vicious cycle, treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Take care of your mind.
Treat yourself.
Take care of your heart.
Yeah.
Take care of your spirit and your soul. You know? So that other people don't have to go to therapy because
of me. Yes. Drop the mic. Don't drop it.
I wish I could drop it.
Don't drop it.
I won't drop it.
Don't drop it.
Okay.
No, but word. No word. That's actually insightful. I didn't even know all these things. Okay. So, you use art as a means or mode of therapy.
Oh, yes. I'm an art therapist.
So that to me is a new thing. I'm like, oh, how, eccentric. How very modern and,
I love it.
Yeah, how very forward. All these words. How does he help? How does art help with mental well-being?
Art on its own is therapeutic. Listening to music is therapeutic. Painting is therapeutic. Building blocks is therapeutic.
Oh, building blocks.
And so the reason why I use art is because, first of all, I'm an artist. Yes, and the most therapeutic thing for me to do is to scribble or to paint. And so that's the reason why I went into it.
Art therapy.
And so you find out that sometimes sitting with people, I find sitting with people, getting them to speak is tough. Not a lot of people are expressive. Not a lot of people even want to dig in. They want to be there, but they don't know how. And they're not sure if they want to go back into the closet and pull out skeletons and stuff.
Exactly.
And so art it's a calming way. It's an aid.
Yeah.
It helps you.
Yeah.
Music relaxes. It pulls if you're listening to the right
I was going to say
kind of instrumentals.
I was going to say this.
Or even the right kind of music.
Like the
with the right kind of lyrics.
Yes.
The perfect blend of the bass and the cello.
I love this.
The violin and stuff.
I love this. It's like a sensual mix. Like I love it.
It will just open you up. You just begin to say stuff you never even knew that, What
You're inspired.
Did I just say that? You'll be inspired. High five. Art, scribbling, coloring. Sometimes when I sit in a session with a client, and the first thing I do is I offer them crayons, not even a paintbrush sometimes, crayons and a piece of paper, and they're like, "What, my child?" I always laugh because at the end of the day, you find out that they're coloring and they're talking. It shifts focus from the gravity of what you're talking about. It helps you shift focus. So you're more focused on this thing you're creating. You see the people who had said, "Am I a child? Why are you offering me crayons?" They begin to, "Do you have yellow there? Can I get a blue crayon?" Some people ask me, "Do you have indigo?"
Oh wow, indigo! Wow,
like your colors. You came ready, didn't you?
Mauve.
Mauve.
I love it.
But then it's such an aid because you're doing all of that, but then you're still speaking with me. You're relaxing. You become a child again.
Exactly.
And then you want to share what's on your mind.
Yeah.
It's not so heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy, but it's not so heavy as it's not so scary. I think that's the word I should use. So you're coloring and then it doesn't seem so scary.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem so hard.
Yeah.
Because your focus is now more on this, but then your focus is still on what you're talking about. So it's like a conscious, subconscious act that you're into. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Please bring me some crayons.
I will, definitely.
Next time you say, I want some crayons.
No problem.
Now let me put all my heart.
You want a whole pack or just?
I need the whole pack. Give me the indigo, the mauve, just everything.
So good, so good. I'll be ready.
I love it. Okay, so I had one more question, but it's kind of similar to the other one, so I'm not going to ask it because it still goes to the same answer of finding the root cause, asking those questions, right? So maybe as a final thought kind of thing, because how I met you was from sex therapy, right?
Yeah.
I was looking for a sex therapist, and my friend was like, "I know somebody."
Yeah, and both of those things.
Yes.
Yeah. And both of those things. An art therapist, sex
therapist. Yes.
So good.
So that's how I engaged you at first, and then I was just like, "Okay, this is nice." And then Yeah, I had me and my husband, or at that time, fiance, had a session with you,
Yeah.
which was quite, we're like, we should have asked for the recording. No,
Oh.
I'm telling you, we're like, we need to play this back. So as kind of like maybe a final thoughts, I want you to like, because sex in terms of sex in marriage, because we are faith based, not sex outside marriage, which I think, to be honest, I thought sex outside marriage was, for the longest of time, was just like bobo. Do you understand? Like, people are just trying to like control, like it's the same thing.
You guys just chill.
Yeah, you guys calm down. I mean, that's a big deal. Until I got married, and I was like, no, it's not the same.
Oh my god,
it's not the same thing.
It's not.
All my life. I'm telling you, I cannot articulate it, but it's so different. And so, as a final thing, I wanted you to kind of like maybe final words, like what would you advise married couples that are trying to work intimacy into their marriages in terms of like sex? So, for example, I'll say this. I think one of the unique things about marriages is that two people are different, and God causes you to be interdependent on each other.
Yes,
because you're different. And one of the ways is that you find is that in light of sex now, maybe one party likes sex more than the other, or maybe wants sex. Not that they like.
They have a higher libido.
Yes,
than the other person.
And maybe they want to engage more, and then the other person is like not on it. And now this not on it is not like it can happen two ways. It could be like they're not on it all the time, like most of the time. The spouse is facing rejection in that regard, or it could be like they're not on it sometimes, and then the spouse is facing rejection or feels like he's rejected, right? And it's like, how do I handle, like, I'm in heat, like, and
respect.
She gets and. And my spouse is beside me and is not on it, right? How do I handle that? Like, what do I do to still facilitate intimacy and not to feel like I'm being rejected by my spouse?
So the thing is, sex and intimacy, you're one and the same, and then you're not the same.
Okay.
What you want to do for all the people you mentioned in your question is breed an atmosphere. And I'm so
sorry I asked you like 5 questions.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It really helps. It does. I love it.
Okay.
What you want to do is to breed an atmosphere of intimacy.
Okay.
It's not every time jumping into sex. It's breed the atmosphere of intimacy.
Okay.
And intimacy begins in the mind.
In the mind.
With the emotions.
Okay.
Being kind. Being intentional. Keeping in touch. Connectivity. Especially for a person who has a low libido. You can't just happen upon the person and say, let's get it on. No, you can't just like, where were you? Like, what?
Yeah.
You have to be in touch with the person constantly, emotionally and mentally. Be on the person's mind.
Wow.
It's just like PR and advertising. You want to buy something, you don't know why you want to buy this particular product. They've shown that, like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to breathe that. Make sure that the atmosphere around the both of you, not just for, and don't just do it for selfish reasons. And so when it doesn't work, say, I tried this and it didn't work. Do it because, intimacy is important, and intimacy is vulnerability, honesty. It is intentionality. That's what it is. And so you have to breed that, and then have sex. Sex is a byproduct of intimacy. That's true.
Interesting. So if one partner is like, not today, babe.
If that happens regularly, then I really recommend seeing a sex therapist so you can find out why.
I think so as
well. But if it's a one-off, it's okay. It means that maybe there's something wrong. And so ask questions.
Yeah.
Again, breathe the atmosphere of intimacy. Put on some candles or some good music, or lay down and cuddle and ask questions and talk. And sometimes they don't want to talk. Sometimes the person's just tired. Sometimes that person is just drained mentally, and sex is just the last thing
on their mind.
The last activity on their mind. Maybe the foremost activity in the moment is sleep. Or maybe a good bath.
Yes.
And sometimes it doesn't even have to be sex. Go take a shower together. Just stand there. It doesn't even have to lead to sex. And if it does, just just to make sure you don't fall. You know?
Yeah, be careful.
It doesn't really happen the way it happens in the movies.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
It's now wet and wild.
Because sometimes you don't even have a shower. It's maybe a bowl and a bucket. So just take it
Make it
easy
walk.
on your expectations.
I love it. Be realistic.
Yeah, and sometimes
Okay.
it may just be both of you sipping on juice and just watching a movie.
Exactly.
You know, just hold hands to bed.
Exactly.
Your libido can wait if the other person is not okay with it.
Okay
right
with
now.
it.
But then when it happens regularly, then we can now talk about why
Same,
that's
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
before you do that, make sure you've done the most to be intentional, to connect, to be, you know, to be in touch.
Yeah.
You go out the whole day, don't just leave the other person.
Yeah.
Text, talk, sex. if you need to.
Exactly. Preach.
Yeah.
You better preach.
Do what you gotta do. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Ine.
You're welcome.
I mean, those are my final thoughts, but do you have anything else to say to the audience, to the people? You want them to know any?
Yeah, healing is important. For anything, sex, mental well-being. Sex actually has a lot to do with your mental well-being, and that's why healing is important. For work, for anything, healing is just important.
Yeah.
You know why? There are places to go. There are people to see. There are things to do. And God needs all of us to stand at our goalposts and be watchmen and build up other people.
Yes.
You need to rebuild this world.
Yes.
And you can't do it as a wounded soldier.
Yes, you
So
can't.
healing is important.
Is important. So I'll even add to prioritize healing. Prioritize healing. Ini, what's your social media handle? Where can we find you?
At Inilea
At Inile
Yeah.
on
Instagram.
Instagram.
I'm only on Instagram actually.
Really interesting. Okay, you guys, you heard it from here. It's been a wealth of knowledge and insight.
So good.
I've learned a lot, to be honest, from this.
So good.
And in fact, it's my podcast, so but I'm going to share it. Like, do you know, like, please share like it's not my own.
So good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. As usual, you guys can find us on all platforms that you listen to podcasts, and follow me on YouTube at Boun Olufe for the visuals. Until we meet again, my Hannas, my people, my loves, peace, love, joy. Bye. Oh, tongue twister. That's true. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I have a challenge, and the challenge is you say 5 times. Growing tree is glowing tree. Growing tree is glowing tree.
Oh my
5
God.
times.
Growing tree is glowing tree. Okay.
Yes.
Oof.
On your mark.
Okay.
Get set. Ready? Go.
Growing tree is glowing tree. Glowing tree is glowing tree. Growing 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 tree. I almost made it. My second time I said glowing tree.
You always say glowing tree is glowing tree. You almost made it. I love it. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hugs. Thank you.
Awesome. So we asked these questions. Thank you.
Oh, it was amazing. It was just like, I felt so much love, like so much joy, like wisdom, insight, everything. But we're in the mix. Treasure. That's what you are. Treasure.